After all the really nasty comments yesterday and the bloody hundreds of thumbs down, I've decided to keep my shirt on today, but I've come back to Doom Lake to correct some mistakes that you all pointed out to me as well. Now, as you can see, there's a pretty nasty cliff here. No one died on it. There was a 22-year-old woman, I think it was in 2021, fell down, hurt her leg, I think she hurt her head, and she was taken to hospital. But no, like you said, no one died. Anyhow, I came here yesterday, came up to Pride Rock, then came back here because I wanted to capture some footage about my parents, because I want to do a documentary about my parents, because they seem to have a pretty interesting life. But anyhow, I better maybe say a bit more about the wonderful Doom Lake Quarry. Now, this quarry was created in the 1960s, and before that there was a series of lagoons here that originally the indigenous people, the Yagara people, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Yagara people. They lived here obviously for tens of thousands of years and mainly used this as a place that people would travel through. People would ask permission to come through this area. There was great hunting in this area apparently, and people would come in, ask permission. Probably was a meeting area, I think, from what I've read. And then the Europeans arrived and started, of course, to take over it, because that's what Europeans do. And originally they used this as a kind of a recreational area, probably hunted here as well. But then, like I said, in the 1960s, it was dug out. There was apparently an extensive cave system underneath here, which was completely destroyed when the mining happened. And the colours you can see in the water is still the suspended minerals from the mining. Now, obviously you can see the danger signs. That's apparently because of the suspended materials in the water. Makes it really hard for people to see whether there's rocks when they're diving. You can see why people are attracted to this place, though. It is beautiful. Wouldn't it be a crack up if I came around this corner and there was someone sneaking in? Because recently the police have said that they're going to book people that go in. Now, as you can see from my takeoff point, I am outside the fence. I'm not inside the fence. Now, like all of my videos, I'm not going to tell you exactly where this place is. I'm not even going to use the real name, because I want these places to myself. Stuff for you guys. Yeah, that looks like a place where people probably come down to swim. Fortunately, you can hear the freeway behind me. Now, this is the spot where I was yesterday, where I met that woman. Danger sign. Highway to the danger zone. Gonna take a ride into the danger zone. Look around. I really don't feel like hitting a tree. Although the Mini 3 is pretty damn good at its object detection. I've used active tracking a lot, and it's been friggin' awesome. And speaking of active tracking, yesterday I was talking about, well, I mentioned in my video, at least in the text, I can't remember, I didn't say anything about it verbally, I don't think, but I mentioned the high-vis vest. Now, the high-vis vest I find works really well with the active tracking, because it creates high contrast, especially when flying in the bush around like this. So if we come down here, you can see me sitting on my high-vis vest. I mentioned before my parents, but I really should I mentioned my parents before, but I really would like to shout out to or mention my beautiful Auntie Obra, who would look after me when my parents were away working. She eventually raised me. There's a picture of her here. Wonderful woman, wonderful Polish woman. I always remember that what she used to call me, Glupy Rebenok. It means child of my heart in Polish. May you rest well. Glupy Rebenok. Glupy Rebenok.